starting with your best friend, because you guys both shop at Kohl's, Kirk Cousins, who landed a 4-year, $180 million deal from the Falcons, $100 million in guaranteed money. Do you like that, Sully? That's what I want to know. Do you like this move for the Falcons?
I do. I mean, we were going through the rundown before, obviously, all these things, came to pass with the legal tampering window opening up, and we were discussing what should happen. What do we want to happen? And we'll get to it later. But my first one, I had to change it because it already happened, was Kirk Cousins going to the Atlanta Falcons. This team has been starving for a quarterback. It's just a competent quarterback for these elite talents that they've been drafting in the first round, in Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson. From a fantasy standpoint, it was frustrating. If you're a Falcons fan, it was frustrating because they just couldn't tap into that talent because of the inabilities of their quarterback position. Now, you go all in with the number one player, the number one quarterback in this free agent cycle in Kirk Cousins. This immediately changes things overnight in the NFC South. I think they're now the favorites. I'm super excited to see how this offense is going to look with Bijan in year 2. Maybe finally we get some production from Kyle Pitts. And the thing that's, I think, a little bit most underrated about this is that he's also upgrading his offensive line. The Falcons' offensive line is stellar. And so when you're putting all of this together, it makes all the sense in the world for Kirk Cousins to go to a team that has great offensive weapons, a better offensive line, and now you're in a division where you're the presumptive favorites, in my opinion. You should be going into the postseason, and if you're Kirk Cousins, the big rap on you has been lack of success in the postseason. This is your chance to get there and change that resume for yourself.
I'm glad you said that this probably makes them the favorite, because my next question would be, do you think Kirk Cousins is head and shoulders the best quarterback in the NFC South? We have Baker Mayfield, we have Derek Carr, we have Bryce Young. But the twist here with Cousins is, remember, he is coming off a torn Achilles, and so we're not sure how he's going to rebound from that. Would you put Cousins today at the top of the list, or do you need to see him make a few throws in training camp?
Yeah, it's a great point to reference there. I mean, again, all things being equal, I would say yes, he is the best quarterback talent-wise in that division, but he is 35 years old, coming off a torn Achilles. We do have to see it to believe it, really. But ultimately, I do think that when healthy, and I think he will be healthy by the start of this season. Again, there could be some injury rust, but ultimately, it does feel like we're growing more towards the Achilles injury not being this devastating blow of a multiple-year return. I do think he'll be able to come and be somewhat of the Kirk Cousins that we're accustomed to in Minnesota over the last few years. And I think that is going to be night and day for this Falcons team. Like I was saying earlier, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in that division. I think it should make them the favorites. If not, I haven't checked the betting odds recently, but I would be shocked if once these things are settled and finalized, they are not the favorites in that division. So I like this all around for them.
Yeah, and you keep mentioning how much of an upgrade this is at quarterback. Since Matt Ryan left, they've had Marcus Mariota start some games. They've had, obviously, Desmond Ridder. They had Taylor Heineke start a few games last season. So the quarterback spot has been all over the place for the Falcons. And really, the thing I like about this deal is that, look, Kirk Cousins, everywhere he's gone, he's been getting that fully guaranteed deal. But here, the Falcons, yes, they're going to pay him $100 million guaranteed. That is a ton of money, but they're only locked into him for 2 seasons. And then after that, it's kind of, all right, if he plays well, we keep him. If he doesn't, we'll let him hit free agency again. So it does kind of mitigate that risk factor that does come with, hey, look, Kirk gets out in the field, can't do a 3-step drop because his Achilles is bothering him. Well, then you're in trouble. So this was a good move by Atlanta, and I guess even by Kirk, to finally say, you know what, I got my bad guys. I already have $300 million or whatever it is in my pocket. I don't need 180 million fully guaranteed. I'll take 100 million. So I think this is a fantastic move, and I do agree with you. It does feel like the Falcons are the favorite now in the NFC South. Now the Vikings suddenly do not have a genuine starting quarterback on their roster. They decided that, hey, look, Kirk was good, but he never reached that great level with us, which kind of describes his entire career. What do you do if you're Minnesota? If you're the general manager over there, who are you calling up right now? Who are you on the phone with? Who are you trying to get to Minnesota?
I don't think that they're a team that should be in a position to go after like a veteran quarterback. I think that this spells you're doing something at number 11 overall at the 2024 NFL draft, whether that's using that pick to select a quarterback like JJ McCarthy or somebody that falls to that spot, or you package that along with a few other things to vault up possibly to number 3 overall with the New England Patriots or number 2 with the Washington Commanders to get one of those top 3 guys, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, one of those two, if we assume that Caleb Williams is going to be the number 1 overall pick. That's the route I think that Minnesota goes down. You could, I guess, in theory, sign, I don't know, Jacoby Brissett or, one of these, Sam Darnold, one of these veterans that could hold down the fort over the next few years or even next few games in 2024. But to me, this if you're going to let Kirk Cousins go and you have a top, borderline top 10 pick, I think that just points all signs that you're going to use it on a quarterback. I think that's the route you go down. You develop a guy that you feel like you can build your future around. And that's that. Whether that means it's a down year relatively in 2024 as you build this quarterback up. But I think that's probably the most practical approach for them.
I think the one thing with the Vikings, though, is that you have to think you have to get a top 3 quarterback. So obviously they can't sit at 11 because I don't think one of the top 3 quarterbacks will fall in their lap. And trading up could be difficult, especially if you're trying to get into the top 5. You could be competing with other teams who are trying to trade up. We could see the Raiders try and make a trade up because they right now need a quarterback. Although that could change because somebody here could trade for Justin Fields. We don't know. I don't think Ryan Tannehill would be a horrible kind of stopgap quarterback for the Vikings. I guess kind of like the Coles version of Kirk Cousins, not necessarily the bargain bin Kirk Cousins, but he's a smart veteran. I think he'd get along with Kevin O'Connell. And then you make him the bridge quarterback. You say, Kirk or Ryan, we are out here looking for our next quarterback. If he falls to us in the draft, we are going to take him. If he doesn't, then we'll take a guy next year. But you're not going to be here forever, 1 or 2 years at most. But we'll let you start.